Welcome back, everyone. So let's talk about Lori Vallows. There's something we haven't covered on lately, have we? Actually, we have every single day. All right. So what's new in Lori Vallows' case? Well, apparently, her two attorneys from her case are having a very difficult time finding a bail bonds agency that will work with them. And they're having an even larger problem in the Rexburg and in the county area around them with bonding agents that are licensed in that area. They have to be licensed to be able to offer a bond in that area. They're having a hard time trying to find a bonding agency that can secure enough insurance to underwrite a bond for $1 million that is willing to work with Lori Vallows Daybell. And so right now, she sits in jail, and there she will stay. Now, from what I heard from what is online, it just purely this is rumor. I hate to talk about rumor, but this is what these people are talking about online. So there's no actual concrete evidence to support this. They have several people who are willing to put up part of the money along with Chad, but no one has equity in something that is worth $1 million. That is their hardest part. Is that and finding a bail bondsman who can underwrite a insurance policy for the bond. Now, two of the most prominent bail bonds companies, they're in the Rexburg area and in that county, have flat out refused to work with Lori Vallows Daybell and this bond. They just don't feel that the cost is indicative to what they would do, what they can make on it, because of her risk of not showing up for court in the past. They believe that the cost that they would incur would be more than they can actually legally charge her or her to bond out. So yeah, that's where she's at. She's going to stay there until she can either find someone with security, and she can find an underwriter. So they are now going to try the Boise, Idaho area for much larger bail bonds and national companies, and see if they can find somebody that way. From what I'm told from the attorney who is in his statement that it's in this case. Now you have to understand the next part plays into that part. So two of her attorneys have removed themselves from her case. She went from three attorneys from two separate law firms. Two attorneys from one law firm have dropped, and they are leaving her with one attorney. Oops. That is how she is. She is up a creek without a paddle. They also filed to have Judge Farron Eddins removed from the bench on this, and he said, after reviewing it and looking at the law and everything else and making his own decision, he stepped down by himself. He did not. He was not removed by her attorneys. He stepped down. So Brian Edwards and Edwina Elcox, who you see here, picture above my shoulder with the circles around them. These are the two attorneys from the one law firm that are stepping down from Lori Vallows' defense. They did not give reason other than that they are removing themselves from it. That leaves just Brian Webb as her sole and only attorney, the bald-headed individual, attorney in the middle. This is going to be, I'm sorry, Mark Means is the only one. Brian Webb and Edwina Elcox are removing themselves. Mark Means is the only attorney who is going to stay, on as her defense right now. Can she hire more? Sure. I guess it all depends on how much money, Chad Daybell wants to throw at this. Because they're not going to come cheap. It's a high-profile case. They're going to have to find somebody who's competent, and he's going to have to put up a retainer. I don't know how much he put up the first time, but I'm sure they didn't use up their retainer in that time, and they'll give it back to him, whatever's left over. So next is the court date. They got it changed. So they can be more prepared for the case. Now it's only going to be one attorney, so can Lori hire more? Again, like I said, it all depends on how much money Chad wants to throw at it. He very well could bring on co-counsel to defend her, but right now, as it means, Mark Means is the only attorney listed currently for Lori Vallows. As the FBI and other law enforcement agencies met recently to discuss the Lori Vallow case this past Wednesday, new information has come out about this meeting and her previous interactions with other people from her podcast and before her podcast, going back to December 4th, 2018. The topic at hand: hours of content from the podcast that gave the FBI a look into Lori's beliefs. And one thing investigators quote the mother saying definitely stood out to them. Emails uncovered revealed the FBI not only did a search of Lori, but also her friend Melania. Police officials say Lori Vallow asked Gibb to lie about the whereabouts of JJ in late November, 2 months after the boy and Tylee went missing. Lori Vallows was deeply involved in the group. As part of it, she would do these podcasts in conjunction with a woman named Melania Gibbs, said Richard Roberts, former detective. Roberts, who was hired by her niece's ex-husband Brandon Bordeaux after he was shot at in Gilbert, started investigating Lori in late October. Roberts says the podcast Lori spoke on gave the FBI insights into her beliefs. What we're saying at this particular time about their beliefs were their plans that might have some real important meaning now, said Rich Roberts. Jason Mao is an author and public speaker and spokesman advocating for police officers with PTSD. Married Phoenix police officer in 2017 after a serious injury and resigned from the Chandler Police Department in 2006. In an email between officials with the Phoenix FBI on December 4th, 2019, it says Lori did her first podcast exactly 1 year prior. According to intelligence analysis, Mao said he met Lori at the temple and they had instant connection. He knew she was a gatherer and someone she needed to bring on, and he needed to bring her in connection with Gibb. In another email, the analysis says the twist kept on coming. I'm in the middle of a podcast from December 2018 where Lori mentioned how suffering leads to salvation, and even though she doesn't want her kids to suffer, she understood they have suffered in order to see the light. Short and sweet, but that's where it's at today. Again, if you know anything about where JJ or Tylee may be, the tip line is here on the screen. And you can leave an anonymous tip at 1-800-THE-LOST. Thank you very much for joining me today. Stay safe out there.